Good morning. I'm excited to be here. I'm Deputy Director of the Division of Applied Mechanics in OSA, which is the research arm of CDRH. I'm excited to be joined here by my colleagues, in particular to talk a little bit about what we do at CDRH besides regulatory review. We also do regulatory science. In my brief presentation, I hope to give you that quick overview. And I'd like to start out that I've been at FDA for 10 years, and I've seen a lot of change during that time. In particular, this poignant vision from our center director, which really focuses on the idea we want patients in the US to have access to novel, high quality, safe and effective medical devices first in the world. And that's profoundly different than in the past, meaning we're trying to create new strategies and programs to really bring technology and companies here in the US before they go to other markets. There has been a huge cultural change over the last 6 years at CDRH with a number of programs and initiatives that have strived to help us meet this important vision. Of particular interest has been the idea of streamlining clinical trials and thinking about ways in which we can encourage companies to come and investigate their investigational devices with patients in the US, in addition to coming up with other kinds of programs to consider, for example, post-market balance. Are we asking the right regulatory questions at the right time? So here's a little bit of an eye chart, but what I want you to take home from this is that over the last few years, CDRH has been actively engaging in thinking about different policies and guidance that can help you bring your novel technologies to market in the area of evidence generation, thinking about better ways in which we can design and harness clinical trial information. Again, I mentioned the pre-post-market balance. Are we asking the important regulatory questions when we need to ask them? Can we wait for information later? Other aspects that we're really focusing on is the input of the patient. How do we capture better patient preferences and incorporate those into our regulatory decision making and into our understanding of regulatory output from medical devices? I would like to let you know that we are happy to make these slides available, so if you're not able to quickly jot down all the information you see, we'll be certain to share those with you afterwards. What I'd like to draw your attention to is because of some of these initiatives that have been taking place over the last few years, we've had a dramatic increase in the number of novel technologies that we've approved. And the way that we define a novel technology is a device that undergoes a new PMA or a de novo or a panel track supplement. So this has been dramatic for our center. In addition to that, we've had a significant reduction to the time to IDE approval, meaning that for a corporation, large or small, who's trying to initiate a clinical study, about 7 years ago, it would have taken you more than a year to receive full approval for your clinical study. And with the programs that we've incorporated into the regulatory review process, we've dropped that down to our legislative statute of 30 days. And that's incredible, and we've been consistently holding that for the last few years. So if you've never had encouragement before to come and talk to the agency about the questions you have about your clinical study, the time is now. We have programs in place to do that. And of particular importance is the Early Feasibility Studies program, which is really geared towards trying to help companies get early clinical information. The requirements for this program is that you don't have to have a design freeze, as maybe you would have considered in the past. You can get clinical evaluation of your product early in the design phase, so long as you can demonstrate basic level of safety. And we have a number of companies already participating in this program. Other important considerations are staged approvals, which allow you to have a few number of patients enrolled in a clinical study, and then a few other patients once you've met some metrics. So we're really trying to change the paradigm at CDRH for getting patients access to these novel technologies and for companies to get the important clinical information they need here in the United States. A lot of those initiatives took place because of strategic priorities that our center director has imposed over the last few years. And for the next coming years, our focus is really on engagement, both internally and externally, with respect to our employees, but also with respect to our customers, which includes industry, different patient groups, for example. So this idea around simplicity and collaborative communities, I'm going to touch on briefly in the next couple slides. Our goal is that by the end of 2020, we hope that more than 50% of manufacturers across the globe who are developing novel technologies will bring those technologies to the US marketplace first, before they attempt to bring that to a marketplace to any of the other large marketplaces in the world. That's pretty profound, right? That we're gonna create strategies and initiatives that allow those companies to come here and make it easy for them. One of the ways that we're gonna try to do that is the concept of simplicity. Ways that we can remove unnecessary burdens for both regulators in addition to companies. Is there a way for us to adopt the process of continuous improvement? We have really moved towards making CDRH a quality organization and harnessing principles like continuous improvement. So evaluating our processes and trying to improve on them, both for our internal review folks in addition to burdensome processes for industry. So this is underway right now. Moreover is the concept of collaborative communities. How can we better engage all the relevant stakeholders, from industry to patients to professional societies, in addition to having FDA at the table? This kind of toolkit that's available on our website now talks about how you can form one of these collaborative communities and how FDA wants to be a voice at the table, but we don't want to be the driver. We want to encourage the professional organizations, the patient groups, the advocacies to take leadership on important issues that matter to them. In the next couple of slides, I want to shift gears a little bit from the regulatory side of things, from the review side, if you will, to the science side of things. So the Office of Science and Engineering Laboratories, we are the research arm of CDRH. We work with our regulatory science committee on establishing regulatory science priorities. Below are the top 10 science priorities that have been published for the last few years. And we have about 130 scientists in OSEL who are tackling different aspects of those regulatory science priorities. There are a broad range of areas that we focus on. In particular, we have a group that's focused on diagnostic and therapeutic ultrasound, which of course is relevant to this community. At our medical ultrasonics laboratory, we have a number of program areas where our scientists are focused on advancing the technology, the methodologies for bringing technologies in that area to market. And hopefully you've had a chance to engage with some of those scientists at this meeting. We have a number of active collaborations with both academic partners, professional societies like yourself, and industry partners, particularly through standards and even some research collaboration projects that we have. So I'll leave you with a couple tips for being successful in trying to bring your product to FDA. We really recommend that you participate in a Q submission. So this is really leveraging the pre-submission program. There's a guidance document that talks about how to engage with FDA early in the process of either developing a new technology or strategizing on a new plan for getting clinical information. We have revamped our website in case you haven't visited in a long time, fda.gov. There's a lot of useful information, in particular repository of all the guidance documents we have available, so you can search by keywords. We also recommend that you educate yourself on FDA 101 type of information. We have a CDRH Learn portal that has videos, presentations, all kinds of information that can help you get up to speed on this very fast-changing culture that we're experiencing right now. Lastly, as I mentioned, these slides will be available. I want to just leave contact information for our regulatory science folks. For those of you in the room here from the ultrasonics laboratory, do you guys want to raise your hand so people know who you are? I see Keith and Josh and Yumbo. Greg and Matt are here, and I know Shuba's back there as well. So if you haven't had a chance to talk with them, I encourage you to do so. And then these are the folks from the regulatory review offices. It's been my honor to be the ambassador for the folks here on the panel today, just to present this overview of information. So thank you for your attention.